I've been living in Colorado Springs for over 40 years, and I have to be honest, there are some things about living here that will catch you off guard. I'm about to tell you everything that they leave out of the destination brochures. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I've helped hundreds of people relocate to Colorado Springs, and I want to make sure that you're set up for success. So if you're thinking about moving to Colorado Springs, make sure that you stay to the end because it took me 40 years to learn what you're going to get in the next 10 minutes. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to expect so you don't make the same mistakes that everyone else does. The first thing that I have to mention is that Colorado Springs is kind of boring. I have to go to Denver to do all the fun stuff outside of hiking or to a different state if I want a beach or something. Now, people will tell me all the time that Colorado Springs is not boring, but there's really not a ton of things to do that are not like outdoor things. Like if you want big city vibe, you have to go to Denver. If you want to watch a really good sports game, you got to go to Denver. If you want to see all the really cool stuff, you have to go to Denver. But the good thing is that Denver is only about 90 minutes or less away. To me, that's not that far of a drive to go do something fun. Like for example, these pastries. You can't get these pastries here in Colorado Springs. So I had to drive all the way to Denver to get something really current, trendy, and new here in the area, which I don't mind. It was only an hour drive to go get it, and they were totally worth the drive. But still, it's just things like this that I had mentioned that you can't just get here in Colorado Springs. The next thing is that some parts of the city feel like they're falling apart. The other day, I was going to Loaf and Jug at a very late time in the evening. It was only like maybe 9 o'clock at night, but it was dark outside. And I walked up to the front door and the door was locked. So I ended up going to the side and there was this gentleman behind this glass wall. And I said, "Why are you guys closed?" And he was like, "Well, the only thing that we can do is very limited purchases through this window." And I just thought that was crazy because this is a neighborhood that I had grew up in, and to see it go downhill the way that it had been was really disappointing and really sad to me. He had mentioned that there was a shooting at the Loaf and Jug not too long ago. I think it was the night before that we were there, but it was crazy because I had asked him why the doors were locked and he said because we're in the hood. And I don't know, it was just really weird to me because I grew up in that neighborhood and it was never the hood before. But now that it's getting shot up, of course, it's probably not the safest place to be at night, I guess, anymore. So seeing all of that change over the course of, 40 years was just really wild to me. It's still kind of a little bit hard to grasp, but you could only get limited services through a glass window. And a lot of the old businesses feel like they're neglected. Like places that I grew up that I used to walk and go to shopping places, I'm starting to notice that they are not taken care of, that they are run over by homeless, and there's just a lot of maintenance that just doesn't get done anymore. There was a fire in one of these buildings and they just never repaired it. Or a lot of these businesses have the windows that are boarded up and it just doesn't look like the same place that I grew up. And it seems like everywhere you go, there's just nonstop construction and there's just way too much traffic and things are way more different than they have ever been. I remember talking to my son the other day and he was telling me about how there's a lot of homeless people around his school. And I remember telling him, that's crazy because when I grew up, you never really saw homeless people. I'm just saying that this is how much our city has changed over the years. And he just couldn't believe it. And I thought that was interesting that he could not imagine a city where there wasn't homeless people, where I grew up in a city that didn't have hardly any. So things have definitely changed a ton over the years, but here's why I stay and here's why I love Colorado Springs still. So with a bigger city, you have all these bigger city problems, right? So now that we got all of the ugly stuff out of the way, let's maximize your Colorado Springs living experience and talk about why I love living here and why so many people make the move and actually stay. I came here when I was a toddler. My dad was stationed at Fort Carson and we moved around a bit as any military kid does. And finally, when my dad exited the army, we settled on Colorado Springs. Well, actually they settled on it. I was still a kid. So back then Colorado Springs was small. I'm talking about 250,000 people. And one of the things I love so much about this place is the diversity. You can always find someone to fit in with. And as a minority living in Colorado Springs, I've noticed that I feel mostly comfortable walking around the city. Not saying that it's perfect and I haven't had experiences, but I've visited a lot of of places, and Springs just always feels like home. But I didn't grow up hiking. I didn't grow up skiing. I grew up camping at Cheyenne State Park. We loved camping when I was a kid. We played in the creeks in Cheyenne Canyon. We spent hours at Prospect Lake and Monument Park, which is also a completely different vibe and feel these days. So I very much lived the outdoor lifestyle, even though I wasn't like into hiking and everything, because when it came to things to do here, there really wasn't a ton. We used to go to the Citadel Mall for hours. We would just walk around. We didn't even have our parents with us. We wouldn't buy anything. We would just hang out, and we would go to the Boardwalk, which was this arcade place that was really popular back then. We played outside with our friends, jumping fences, eating candy. And Colorado Springs is unique in a lot of different ways. First, it's the location. It begins at the base of the Pikes Peak Mountain. Pikes Peak is taller than any mountain in the lower 48 states east of the Rockies. You've got nothing but mountain views and trees all the way across the west side of the city. And our elevation is very high at over 6,000 feet, which is like 4 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. We're the largest city by area in all of Colorado, even bigger than Denver. The population's about 500,000 people. The weather is great, especially this year. We haven't really had a ton of cold and snowy days, which I appreciate. And I know a lot of people miss the snow, but this is perfect weather to me. You've got the mountains as your backdrop. The community here is really great. If you find the right people to connect with, it's a great place to connect with other people. We have all 4 seasons in Colorado Springs. We've got winter, fall. Winter, I wish it wasn't as long, but during the fall, you can see all the beautiful trees changing colors, the aspen trees. It's just such an amazing place, really picture perfect. And then you have all the scenery of the wildlife and everything. All of my friends and family are here. We all grew up here, and so it's really hard to leave a place like that. And even though there is the bad that comes with the good, it's still somewhere I just enjoy being. I love being outside. I love being at Garden of the Gods. I love going hiking, and I just don't have that desire. Maybe that'll change in the future as I get older. But for now, Colorado Springs is home for me, and it might be home for you too, as long as you can understand and deal with a lot of the stuff that is not maybe as exciting. I think that you'll find a great place to raise your family and enjoy a more relaxed lifestyle. The other thing is that when you go to these hiking trails that are very popular, usually it's only popular during the tourist season times, but now it seems like there's just constant people everywhere you go. You used to be able to just to have peace and quiet, just to be able to go on a hike by yourself and not be bothered, but now that's just almost impossible with any of these popular places. There's people everywhere. I'm telling you, that can kind of suck the fun out of it, and I can see why a lot of locals don't like that. But with all of that comes a lot of new businesses. We're seeing a lot more diversity when it comes to shopping and restaurants and things like that. So if you think that there's nothing to do now, back then it was even more boring, because now at least we have big places like the Main Event. We have a lot more activities going on. We have the Ford Amphitheater, so more concerts are coming this way. So even though it's gotten pretty busy as far as population goes, at least we're in a space where we can have more things to do, have more options, have more restaurants and different lifestyles, different things to do that are a lot more appealing to than just one group of people, which is all the hikers. And I enjoyed Colorado Springs when it was small, and there are some pros and cons when it comes to living in Colorado Springs now in 2026 and beyond. But it's a city that I've had to adapt to, but also still love and still want to be a part of. And so it's an interesting thing for a local here. And you're going to read a lot of stuff online about people that hate Colorado Springs and why they do. I feel like it's a lot of who you surround yourself with too. And so hopefully this video helps. If you want to learn more about what's coming to Colorado Springs in the next couple years or so, you're going to want to watch the video that's popping up next on the screen. I'll see you over there. My name is Iris. I'm a real estate agent in Colorado. So if you need help buying or selling real estate, or you just have some questions, you can shoot me a message, email, text, or if you want a free consultation, you can book with the link below this video.